Hi from Forget Me Not Cottage. This is a day of illustrating quiche. Not that exciting, I know. But yesterday I wrote up the recipe and made a Stilton, tomato and streaky bacon quiche. And I thought before we eat it, I need to draw it. Obviously, because my books don't have photography in, they have illustrations in. So I'm going to try and make this look its best. So I've got to get the right angle initially. I want to get the depth of the pastry on there, some of the filling, obviously a nice shape to it. I'm not going to draw the plate, I don't think, at this moment. Let's just move that bit. I've frozen the rest of it. It was made in a 10-inch tin. Brilliant recipe if you have lots of leftover cheese at Christmas. So I'm going to post the recipe on my social media. Come out brilliantly. Okay, it looks better when it's hot. This has been in the fridge overnight, but it's such a fail-safe recipe to make. Quite rich and luxurious. But I also have just posted another version of this without pastry, and that's a keto recipe, which doesn't involve pastry, and that's made in little Yorkshire pudding tins. Anyway, so you can find me, obviously this will probably be on YouTube, but you can find me on Facebook on Forget Me Not Cottage, Instagram. I'm a little bit slow on Instagram at the moment. I'm going for training. So there we go. I don't tend to show my face because I just get up and paint and I look like I've, just got out of bed. So that's fine. So you're going to see my arms moving a lot, which annoys some people. Here's my trusty plate which will drive some of the OCD painters nuts. But bear with me a second. Sorry about that. That was Posty. I just gave him a fright with my hair. Anyway, so I'm going to crack on, and the first thing I'm going to do is get a shape. Now, obviously, with this, I'm not a trained artist. I went to art college for a bit, but I am purely a homegrown artist. So if you're one of these sort of highly professional, this probably isn't the video for you. But this just shows people what I do and what you can achieve with little skill. So, first of all, I'm going to get my shape. And now, I've said on my videos before, I'm not great at perspective. But because I've decided to do illustrations for my book, because I want it to have a much more sort of home crafty, rural sort of cottage thing going on, photography isn't just going to do it. And there's lots of books with photography in, and because I've been doing sort of like this type of thing for a while, hang on, I've got the angle wrong there. So what I do initially is just sketch out, and it's hard for you to see, I think, with the pencil, but I just sketch out a shape roughly. And then with my trusty putty rubber from Book Zone or something like that for £1, I just keep rubbing it out till I get it to what I think. The pencil side of this is very small. It's more to get the shape right for me. Now I know in that quiche there's like a big dent. So what I do is initially get the shape my brain thinks it should be, and then I alter it as I go along. Sorry, we're just getting over this horrible virus we've had all Christmas. We've not seen anybody because we didn't want to spread it. Parents as well, because they've got lowered immunity. So we've not left the house. So it's been awful socially. But actually, for me, it's been really good because I've managed to get loads of work done on this. Because I'm not working at the moment, I go back in a couple of days. And it just means that I think when you're doing anything like this, you need a good day to do it. If you pick it up and start it again, well, one, this quiche will be going off in a few days. You've got to be in the mood. You've got to have quite a peaceful mind. And when you're back at work, we have our own business. It's quite hard to get that peaceful mind. Hang on 2 seconds. My hubby will be coming back in the door at the moment. He's gone to the little hardware store in Eden to pick up some sandpaper and to waffle, no doubt, for a while. So if you hear a big clank coming through the door, that's him. Right, now I've noticed that I've put this bit of pastry very upright, when in fact it slants back like that. So I just keep going in, altering till I get it to look how I want it to look. And like I say, there's a lot of artistic license with this, because if there's a bit sticking out that I don't like, I can just take it out, whereas with a photograph you can't do that. Now the nice thing about this is when I do a lot of, because I do a lot of pastry in my cooking, a lot of it tends to look quite brown. But the reason this is very red on the top is, one, it's got tomatoes, and smoked paprika was put on the top at the end. So it's given it a nice bit of colour, which is nice because I don't want my book to just be completely brown. But there is a lot of pastry. So I've been sort of making, not just for the pictures, but I've been making, illustrating other things that has colour. Because otherwise it's just going to be a book of brown looking items. Okay, so I've got my, I'll just switch off while Davin's coming back through the door. Penny's very on high alert at the moment. I think it's because we've been home a lot, and she's, I don't know, she's gone into protector mode. Penny is our little Jack Russell. She's 15, and she's on it at the moment, like a carb on it. Any intruder, she's there. Right, so I've got that tomato there, needs to be a bit bigger. And sometimes you can spend an hour getting this right. I'm not going to. I'm going to switch you off now because Dav's coming back through the door. So I'm back. I've changed the shape. Just moved things around, changed it a bit. Now you're going to hear some sanding in the background.
Sorry.
It's my hubby. He's sanding arms from a retro chair, which probably some of you would find more interesting. There's probably only one person watching this. No, it doesn't. Apologies to that one person that might be interested. So I'm just going to get my sort of egg colour and just throw everything on the floor. So I'm going with a sort of a light yellow ochre. So I'm just going into here, because it has got some colour, but not a lot. I'm just going in with a little bit of warmth there. Now obviously the pastry at the back's darker. Put that there. I've actually put my tea on the other side so I don't keep dipping my brush in
your tea,
which I do often. I just hope there's not too many horrible chemicals in my paints. So I'm just going to go in with a sort of watered down raw sienna, very watery brush. I'm going to follow the pastry line round, so that gives it my first colour. Okay, and then I want to go and do the pastry underneath. Now I blind bake this pastry and it still looks a tiny bit like it could have done with a bit more cooking. I'm just going to go into there because, okay. Right, shadow. I'm going to put a little bit of shadow in. So I'm going for a bluey black shadow that's already on my plate. And then I'm going to follow the line of the shadow that's currently on the plate-ish. And this gives it sort of, I think I've said before, the depth of the item. It gives it a bit of reality. Dav's just bumping the table to make it
I'm not. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
No. We're both currently, we've been off with this virus over Christmas. We're just getting over it. Davin's been worse than me. And last night he was on the major cough-a-thon for I don't know how many hours. Anyway, I've put him to work today. Not major work, sitting down work. So he feels like he's actually achieved something, because there's only so much crap telly you can watch. And the thing with this is you do a bit and then you're absolutely exhausted. You know, you do like a little bit of hoovering and you have to sit down for about 10 minutes to recover, which is not like us. So it's really taking it out of us. Okay, so I'm going to go down here with a bit more colour. And you can see the reason I've put 2 lines on there, that's almost the ridges from the quiche tin that it was in. So the underneath, I think it needs a little bit more yellow. Where is my yellow? I didn't get my colours out today. This is very unprofessional. Anyway, I've got this really cheap set of paints, Shock Horror. And you know what? For little bits, I wouldn't recommend them generally. But for little bits of work, like adding, oh, I nearly put my brush back in my tea. For adding little bits of colour, they're quite good, really. You know, if you just, rather than buying a whole tube of a colour you wouldn't normally use, I'm not saying that's the right colour, let's be honest. I can always go back over it again. And yeah, I'm going to need to find my colour yellow. Oh, here we go. Cadmium yellow, here we go. And, oh disgust, I'm going to have to get the colour from round here because I didn't put the lid on that. Bad. That's a little bit warmer, if I shake, so it gives it sort of a bit more warmth. And then if you look over here, there's some yellow round there, there's some yellow there. So it's just, that's quite strong. That can go under the orange actually. If I go round, remember we're just building colours up at this point. Now remember, if you put on a colour and you think, oh no, and it's still quite watery, you can actually get it off with keep a tissue or a napkin or something handy. So if I just show you, you could, see, remove some of that. If you're very quick, you can go in with a completely clean brush. I don't know what that was. A completely clean brush and remove the colour, but you have to be really quick. Okay, so now we're going to go for the paprika top, and I want it to be quite watery because I'm going to build up the colour. Penny's forming a little growl there because she can hear an imaginary noise outside. Okay. And then, yeah, this is going to be quite a long video, sorry about this, but now we need some red. Well, to be honest, if you look at the tomatoes, they're more orange than red. So I'm using cadmium red pale hue. I don't know, even if I'm saying it right, but that's what's on the thing. So we're going to go round like this, and we're going to come up, go round, and then, now this one's got a bit more depth to it, this tomato, and it's sort of gone all squishy in the middle. It's a very technical term. There we are. And then we've got more tomato here. So I'm putting quite strong lines in because I know I'm going to go over it with the orange again, and that will water it out a little bit. But you can sort of tell it's tomato, I suppose. Now you can see around there it's slightly thinner where the skin, like a lighter orange, where the skin, that's my husband's text. It's being very quiet at the moment. This is the quietest it's been in a week. Yeah, this is a bit like the repair shop gone wrong, with no skill.
with no skill and minimal equipment.
Yeah, none of the right equipment. So, there we go. But like I've said before, don't let not having the right stuff put you off, because look at me. I'm busy and I have none of the right equipment. The only thing that I do think is really important is the paper. I think that's because you can do a lot of work, and if you've got the wrong paper, it's just all wasted. So the paper I use, and I'll tell you now, is Daily Rowney Aquafine Texture, and that is cold press, 300 grams, £140, and I get an A3 book, a jumbo book, so because I go through a lot of pages. I don't tend to get the great big sheets because it's normally rolled up, and I spend most of the time trying to unroll it. But I find this is good because when you get an A4 book, you're so limited to the size. It's fine if you're doing little tiny weeny illustrations or bits, but this one gives you a bit more scope. You can go a bit bigger, and I won't waste all the rest of the paper because I'll cut some off and use it for something else. But when you're confined to a small book, you tend to just work to your size. And when I was younger, I just did lots of tiny little weeny drawings, and I think it was because that was the size of the book I had. Whereas now I tend to go bigger. So I suppose that makes sense. You can get smaller books of this. I mean, you can get some really good budget watercolour paper. But what you find is the more you rub out on it, and the more pencil work you do, it seems to lose integrity. And then when you go to watercolour on it, it sort of fluffs up. So if I can give you one tip that I've learnt in my very basic knowledge, it is...
don't skimp on your paper.
Don't skimp on your paper. Brushes you can almost get away with, like mine, not the best top quality brushes, but they're fine. I mean, I wouldn't use the really basic kiddie ones you see in craft sets because they're just crap. But let me see if I've got one here. Here's the difference. This is one, oh no, actually that's a nice one that I've misused. I think this is a kiddie's one. trying to get up there. And you can see all the bristles are splayed. So when you go to paint with this, if I just show you. Yeah, you can do some lines, but you haven't got that. Actually, it's not bad, but it's not great. So I'd avoid, and that's like probably 50p or something. I've probably got that to use acrylics or something I needed. I always have some cheaper brushes because I end up messing up my my better ones. So I try and have some handy because I'm so impatient. If I need to do something, I'll just do it and then regret it after. So now I need to get some of this darker colour in. So I'm going to go for, I don't know, what should we go? It's like it's on the floor. I do throw things on the floor. Let's have a look. It's like a sienna-y colour. I don't think I've got any of that colour out, to be honest. I've got a box of all dreadful paints that I've not looked after. And I'll never be any different. I actually prefer not having them in the, I don't know what these called, these little things. I prefer actually a palette because I never put the lid back on. But I was looking to get a new set. And the set I needed, here we are, burnt umber. The set I needed was probably a couple of £100, and I thought, oh my God, I'm not even looking like I might even sell one book yet, so I can't invest in really expensive paints if I'm, you know, till I know what the situation is. Right, so I'm going to go in with burnt umber. Let's see what this is like. Because on here, although it's ready, it has got some of that browny tone in there. So there we go. I'm going to take that round. Come round there. And on the pastry, this pastry actually ended up a little bit too brown. The reason being, when I was putting in the oven, I clanked my hand and I jogged and all the egg went all over the pastry. So it does happen to us, all of us. So yeah, so that wasn't so good. So what happened, it made the pastry nice and brown, but a little bit too brown. But it's still very edible. And what you can do, if you do that, I know this is going between cooking and painting, but that's what I am about, is what you can do, and what I did yesterday, I wrapped at the end, the middle, because this is quite a deep quiche, the middle was still very wobbly, yet this was brown. So what I did, I lifted the side up very gently while it was cooking, very gently, and I wrapped the whole tin and everything in greaseproof paper, put it back in, and that did the job lovely, because what it did, it carried on cooking the egg in the middle without burning the pastry more. So I definitely do that again. That was a top idea. How's your sanding going down?
Oh, it's getting there.
Oh, yeah.
Probably do with got a detail sander somewhere.
We'll never find it. This is where all things go to get lost in our house, because neither of us are very organised, and we put things away. We've got a shed, a static caravan, all with sewing tools,
audio equipment.
And do you know what? Are we likely to find anything again? I don't know. Right, so I'm going to bring some brown here, round there. Now I know there isn't brown there, but I'm just going to bring it round because so it defines the line of the quiche. There's more orange over there, more orange there. This is, and then I need to do a little bit darker here, sort of almost wriggly lines. So I'm going to bring that over there. And I'm going to... Now I've got these, I think if any of you have seen me doing this before, I've got these really good, I'm not advertising these, but fine liners, and there's one in grey that almost looks like a pencil, and then I've got black, and when I need to sort of go round something very gently, these fine liners afterwards are good because they just give you a bit of definition sometimes that you can't get in with your brush. Let me just go on there because that looks like I've burnt it. A bit more orange, I think. It's the only thing when you're videoing, you can't watch the telly. And we've got, mind you, it's probably good to have a gap from the telly, to be honest. God, we've watched so many series. I mean, I've been in here painting, watching crap, and Gavin's been in the other room.
Watching crap.
Scrolling, watching crap. Mind you, isn't that what Christmas is about? Watching crap on telly? I don't know. I mean, I can't do big long walks because of health reasons, so I would love to do that, but I can't. But to be honest, we've been so coughing and rough sounding, I don't think we could have got very far without an ambulance. Ooh, hang on, I'm just going to turn off. Sorry, had a phone call there, and I've obviously been painting while I've been talking and got a bit carried away and gone further than I thought I would. So as you can see, I've built up some texture. I'm just adding some yellow where there's more yellow, so it gives it a bit more warmth. And I'm not far off. I've put an extra bit of bacon in for my page because obviously it's hard to see that there's bacon in there, so that was a bit of artistic license. There we go, we're going round here with a bit more yellow. So I've got my tomatoes in, a bit more yellow there to create a bit more warmth. A bit more yellow in there. I should have left a bit of white out there, to be honest. You can see where the tomatoes come away, so I've left it a bit white there. There we go. And then the other thing I'm going to do is just bring a bit of yellow so it just gives it a bit of warmth. This is quite a bit in shadow, so I'm going to add a bit of shadow in. See if I can. And then I'm going to add some yellow just to the top of there to give it a bit of a glow. And there. And then I'm going to get a bit of my bluey black. My hubby's gone back to sanding now. It's like having a deranged little woodpecker in here. And I'm going to put a bit of shadow into there. A bit of dark in here to try and get that texture. I might have to go in with a bit of pen after, I think, to get a bit more texture in there. I think that's okay. Now if you look at the pastry on the bottom, it's almost greeny brown. I know that sounds weird, so I'm just going to go along with a bit more of that colour. It's like when you paint a pork pie, the jelly in it, you know it's not green in your brain because it's not, but it does look green, so that's really odd when you're painting it. So I've just put a bit of green in there. There we are. And then there is a line in there, but because this is so watery now, I can't put that line in. So I think I'm fairly happy with that-ish. The shadow's probably not the right colour. I should have done that a bit brownier and put a bit more warmth in that. It was a bit bluey, so I've got some sort of brown on there, so I'll just go over. and then I need a bit more dark. I mean, obviously with a painting or with a thing, you can always go back and fiddle, and sometimes I do that. I finish it and then I'll go back, providing the item you're painting is still there. I'll go back and I think, that's not right. I mean, I can already see here, there's where that tomato is, there's like a bit of darkness there. Just had my mum ring up telling me a recipe she's just created. She's very excited, so I'm going to have to write that down, or I'm going to get nagged. There we are. Just going under there just to create a bit of a darker line, just so it pops off the page a bit more. Okay. And then just under there, I'm just sort of almost dotting. And then what I do, I'm going to leave that with you for now. I'll let it dry a bit and then I'll go in there with some detail, probably add a bit more detail in. But if I show you, that's where we are so far. Okay. So the colours, there we are. If I put them side by, I know that it's not exact. So it gives the idea of the colour and texture. So it's not too bad for my needs, and then I'll go in probably with a bit more brown when this has dried. So last few bits here, I've been going in with a fine liner just to do a tiny bit of detail. And the good thing about fine liners, sometimes your brush can't get that fine. But that line is a little bit, I'm just going to take that out a little bit and put a bit more brown on it. Oh, I just nearly dipped my brush into it. It's like a never-ending disaster with tea and I'm going to put a bit more. It's almost got the lines of where it's cooked there. And then this is the lighter pen, so I'm just, it's almost like, let me do it for you. So it's almost like a pencil line. I'm just going to put a tiny bit of texture in here. That's helping with jogging.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's alright. It's giving it a wobbly feel anyway. And I'm just going to go round the edge of that. There we are. So there's my homemade Stilton bacon, streaky bacon and tomato quiche. The recipe will be coming up soon, and I've also done the stages. It looks quite long stages. What I've done, I've photographed each stage, but it's actually just so if you're a new baker, it's easy to follow. So that'll be on my Forget Me Not Cottage Facebook page probably tomorrow. The keto one is on today. Quiche is so underrated. It's such a great budget food. I know it's got cream in it and it's got cheese in it, but you know what? I mean, obviously that isn't one portion, but served with salad, no carbs because you've got the carbs in the pastry. served with new potatoes, peas. It's absolutely gorgeous. And if you take the streaky bacon out of that, pop some more cheese in, then you've got a great veggie option as well. So I've also on my page coming up, I've got a herby quiche for the summer, which uses a lot of garden herbs too.
You can play around with it, can't you? I mean, you can put lots of different things in it. And we even did one with corned beef and red onion in the past, and that was really nice.
Yeah, you could. That's a nice thing. If you get yourself a good quiche tin, hang on, I'll see if I can. Oh no, it needs a bit of water. A good sturdy quiche tin. I have got a cheaper one, and that is no good because what happens is the bottom. I mean, the one I've bought isn't tons of money, but the really cheap ones, the bottoms don't sit well. So what happens is, it all seems to. When the heat hits the metal, it pops up, and then your quiche pops up, and then the egg all goes down the side of the pastry. So you want a really, if you invest in a mid-price non-stick tin, you can't go wrong really, and you can use it for savoury and sweet. But it's such a good value dish, and we forget about it now because there's so many other things out there. But you can't beat it if you've got friends coming around for lunch and you put salad, potatoes, coleslaw out, like a nice selection of stuff, and you serve it warm. It's gorgeous. And using up the Stilton, we overdid the cheese this year. We bought too much. So it was a good way.
You never have too much, Jay.
No, I know, but we really overdid the Stilton this year. So it was a good way of getting it in to the keto bites that I've done. Egg bites, and then also the quiche. So it's a good way of using up. And I know cheese keeps, but this is a good way if you want to make something and freeze it, and then when you're on a busy day and you don't want to cook, then it's a really nice alternative. Or you can cut a slice off and put it in your lunchbox with some salad. So it's a lovely meal. So don't
write off quiche.
Don't write off quiche. No. All right, thanks for watching, and no doubt I'll be doing some other maybe shorter videos soon. Bye.
Bye bye.